Hey folks, this is Talking Money. I'm your host, John Savarino, and today's video we're going to be discussing inflation. What is inflation? What are some effects of inflation? And when can inflation be good for an economy? Well, inflation simply is the increase in prices of goods and services, and as those prices rise, that form of currency, or the US dollar, for example, buys less and less of those goods and services. Now, the Fed, aka the Federal Open Market Committee, actually manipulates inflation via monetary policy and has an inflation target of 2% year over year. And to achieve that inflation target, they're actually producing more dollars in the economy. And as they produce more dollars in our economy, that decreases the value of our dollar, or that form of currency, aka the US dollar, and prices thus rise because of this. And this effectively erodes our purchasing power. And what do I mean by eroding our purchasing power? Well, let's just say, for example, actually not even for an example, a fact is as of the end of November, 12-month inflation rate was at 6.8%. Mind you, that's over triple their inflation target, but this was due to an unprecedented increase in spending due to the pandemic that we kind of have been facing over the last year and a half, 2 years of our lives. But back to our example. Let's say with that inflation rate of 6.8% that we've seen over the last 12 months, we've had cash in the bank for that 12-month period. So a dollar at the beginning of that 12-month period bought a dollar worth of goods. Well, after 12 months, or at the end of 12 months, that dollar now only buys roughly 93 cents worth of the same goods and services. So once again, beginning of the 12-month period, $1 purchases $1 of goods and services. Over a 12-month period, we see inflation of 6.8%. That dollar now purchases roughly 93 cents of goods and services, or the same type of goods and services. And that's the impact that inflation can have really on everyday consumers. Even today, we're seeing it at the gas pump, we're seeing it at the grocery store. Inflation is the hottest that we've seen it in almost 40 years, or roughly 40 years. It might even be longer than 40 years. Don't quote me on that. But there are some positives to inflation. Inflation actually encourages not only spending, but investing as well. How does inflation encourage spending? Well, knowing that a dollar today is not going to be worth a dollar in the future, really the time to buy that good or service is going to be today, because your dollar will not buy the same amount of those goods and services in the future. And then how does it encourage investing? Well, cash in the bank over a 12-month period, you just lost 6.8% of purchasing power on that cash. You have an inflation-adjusted rate of return of negative 6.8%. So somehow, some way, you have to grow or invest those dollars to have a rate of return of 6.8% just to break even on inflation. You have to grow your money over the same 12-month period of time at 6.8% just to break even from an inflationary standpoint. And when can inflation be good for an economy? Well, when an economy's output is not running at capacity, right? Meaning there's unused labor or resources, and inflation theoretically can help increase productivity. And what the Fed does is it produces more money, increases more spending. By increasing more spending, we have more demand, which thus equates to more production to meet that demand, which is good for an economy in many aspects, right? Even from a labor standpoint, it can actually decrease our unemployment, because if we need more production or more output of an economy, we need more workers. So that is just a few effects of inflation, just one possibly benefit of an inflation, or why inflation can be good for an economy. There's some that claim inflation is bad overall, and there's some that claim inflation is good overall, and there's a lot of us that are in between. So if you found this video helpful, please give this video a like, please subscribe to our channel, leave a comment below. We want to hear from you on what you'd like us to answer or what you'd like us to discuss. And as always, we'll talk money soon.